Okay, this is my fourth video journal on my road trip from Ontario to Alberta. It is Saturday, September 19th, so I've been out for almost 2 weeks. Monday will be 2 weeks. Found this nice little place to stay for last night. Ended up sleeping in the car. Actually, I guess I'll go back a day. So when I left Edmonton, I headed towards Jasper Park. I went in there, drove around for a bit, expected to spend one night in the parks, and then to make my way out and then back to Lethbridge. I figure one night and then I could just do all of it. That didn't end up happening because I ended up having a lot of fun in Jasper, actually, particularly, and driving around and just hiking. I don't even know how many kilometers I hiked, but it was a lot. Go and see something and then stop off and find a trail and then go up and explore it and end up finding a lake or valley and then hanging out there. And so yeah, it took a little more time than I thought, which is good, right? That's the whole purpose of this trip. I ended up sleeping in the car in Jasper Park, not too far from the town of Jasper, beside, I think it's called Pyramid Lake. There's like a mountain right beside it, kind of looks like a pyramid. There's an island called Pyramid Island, like pyramid everything, I don't know. So I ended up sleeping there the night, just in a little parking space, and that sucked a lot. That was definitely the worst night in the entire trip. It was very cold. I tried to keep warm by layering up as many jackets and sweaters and stuff as I could find, but then my feet started to freeze and legs, and I just didn't really think that one out, I guess. I hate sleeping in a car, it's so uncomfortable. So I ended up in the middle of, I woke up what felt like every 20 minutes, but it probably wasn't. And so I ended up going into the trunk through the back of the car because it was too cold to get out. And I got a bunch of those like hand warmers, those like hot pads or hot paws or whatever you call them. Like, you know, you rip open a package and it's like this little packet of, I don't know, something that gets warm and you can put them in your gloves and stuff. So thankfully I brought a bunch of those on this trip that I actually had left over from a trip like 4 years ago. So magically most of them still worked. There's like a little bug hovering above the camera. Anyway, so I brought a bunch of those, and some worked, some didn't. And so I put a couple under my armpits, and I stuck a couple in my socks because my feet were just so cold. And that actually helped a bit, keeping them under your armpits. That was something I remember that when I was in the Army, that when we were doing winter training, they told us to like boil water, bottles of water, like a hot water bottle, and keep them under your armpits because there's like that major artery or whatever it is that goes through under there, and I guess keeping something hot against it and all that blood flowing will eventually slowly kind of warm you up a bit. I found that worked to some extent. Those hot pad things weren't overly hot, but they did get warm enough, and so I did notice a difference doing that. Still, it sucked. That was definitely the worst night yet. So woke up that morning around 7 or 8, I don't remember. I mean the next morning, which would have been yesterday, so Friday. Went out, explored, found some trail, some road, I don't remember what it's called. I got all the stuff marked on a map. Ended up going down, well, up for a while and then down, and it's kind of like you went behind one mountain and then there's like this like valley, and it was like this beautiful wall of rock, and I was so close to it, like literally beside it for the most part. And just looking up at this giant wall of rock was absolutely intimidating, beautiful. Like, I wonder how much it weighed, like that entire mountain. Stupid question, how's anyone going to know that? But I just had all these awesome thoughts of like, what was this mountain's life? Like, what did it experience? What did it do? I mean, I guess it just grew into a mountain, so what it did wasn't really that amazing. But it is amazing. Anyways, so it takes you down and there's this like glacier, and I was reading a thing. It said in 2012 this like glacier, which is kind of like hanging out in between this mountain and another mountain, broke and fell down and then like caused this flash flood. And you could see there's this like just this large like skid mark, I guess you could say, of destroyed trees and land where all this water and ice and rock must have rushed down into a river. It's just awesome. Like, I had a lot of fun there. There's a lot of tourists, a lot of people that are taking pictures. Thankfully I got there fairly early because when I was driving out there must have been 15 cars or more driving in, so good luck finding a parking space. No, it was nice. It was really cool. I got some pictures of this, what's left of this glacier. It's just these giant slabs of ice just hanging there. It's awesome. There was a bunch of, I think they're called marmots. I don't know how you pronounce it. M-A-R-M-O-T. It kind of looks like a cross between a groundhog and a beaver. Like it's got the beaver teeth, but they're small, but it's kind of got like sort of a groundhogish body, and it's like gray and black. Anyways, I got a ton of pictures of those things. They're really cute. And like, so one would climb up on a rock, and then like his buddy would come by and try and climb up on the same rock, and then one would turn around and start like boxing it or like punching it and just swatting the crap out of it. And so they would like push each other off the rock, and then one would dominate the rock, and it would just sit there like a boss looking around, and it was just super cool. And so I seen it happen a few times. I think that I must have seen six separate ones, marmots. They were just kind of like climbing up on a rock, and then there'd be, you'd look a little ways, there'd be another one up on a rock. And my breakfast is getting cold, so I might like eat and talk at the same time. Made some oatmeal here. Got this thing of like maple brown sugar oatmeal. It's the first time I've actually eaten some of this, so I'm pretty excited about it, even though it's probably cold. Anyways, back to my story. So yeah, these things were like everywhere, and it was just awesome. And there's like this little small baby one. I tried to take a selfie with it. Like probably it kind of failed. The picture didn't look that great because like I took up most of the picture, so I don't know how to do selfies. I'm sure if you've been going through my pictures on Facebook, you're aware that I don't know how to do selfies very well. It's probably a chick thing. I just feel like guys aren't meant to know how to do that. I'm kidding. So yeah, I got real close to a couple of these things. I must have got within maybe 15 feet of two of them. They just walked up on the trail, and I just stood there taking pictures of them. And they didn't seem to mind me. And then this little baby one came, but honestly I could have picked this little baby one up. Like it just didn't care. It was just like crawling up the hill, and I just went right up to it. I was 3-4 feet from it. Like I probably could have just reached out and pet it. It didn't care. It was just eating bushes and stuff, and I just thought it was cute and taking pictures of it. Probably should have took it, put it in my car, and brought it home. Would have been a cute little pet. I'm sure like cat would have loved it. What else happened? So yeah, I went down, visited the Athabasca Glacier, visited the like Columbia ice fields. It was friggin' cold there, like wind and little frozen bits of snow rain kept pelting me in the face, and I wasn't prepared for that at all. I got a few pictures of that. A lot of my pictures, I noticed the clouds have been kind of like low, kind of like stuck on the top of the mountains. So in a lot of my pictures I've been taking, it actually comes out looking like the sky is all white and the top of the mountains is white. It's not really the case. It's cloud, and the camera doesn't seem to show that very well, so it just looks white, or bright. Yeah, the glacier was cool. Visited Athabasca Falls. There was a ton of people there. That was cool. From there, drove through, went down. The weather, it would be good and nice for a little while, like maybe a couple hours. Like actually right now where I am is fairly decent other than the low clouds. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, it would just get really rainy and cloudy, and so I didn't really stop to explore a whole lot when it was like that. I took probably a few dozen pictures with the weather like that, and I don't think they turn out very great just because it's got that kind of gloomy, unfriendly look to it. But nonetheless, I still took pictures. Past some beautiful slopes and like rock, and just, I don't know, it was just beautiful. So then I stopped after the Columbia ice fields or whatever it was, and went into Banff. Seen some of these like big mountain goat things. Like they're big. It's not like a sheep. It's like a big goat looking thing, and they were like these little white dots up on the ridges. It was cool actually. Seen a tourist van taking pictures of them. I thought maybe it was like snow, but turns out it was a bunch of these goat things. So I got some super zoomed in pictures of that. What else was there? The weather was okay for the most part, fairly chilly. Today's chilly. Oh, there's another car turning in here. So went through Banff. Instead of going to Canmore, I turned the opposite direction, went down, I think it's Highway 93, into BC. BC is beautiful, at least this part with the mountains and stuff. I'm in BC right now. I think I passed Crow's Nest Pass just a little while ago. I got some pretty good distance last night. Passed a sign that said danger deer, and like as soon as I passed it, there's like the biggest deer elk looking thingy on the side of the road. Like if I'd have hit that, it would have sucked. It looked like a horse. Ain't no deer like that in Ontario. If that even was a deer. Whatever it was a beast. Passed another deer crossing sign, and there was this deer like dead in the middle of the road. Like really dead. There's this like big long skid mark of blood and guts, and then there was like this deer body, and like the whole side of it was just like broken open everywhere. Like it was probably the coolest, goriest thing I've seen since the deer that looked like a washcloth. I seen a deer once in Ontario. It looked like someone just rang out a washcloth. His head was like over here, and it was all like, anyways, I won't go into detail. That was really cool too. I didn't stop to take any pictures because it was the middle of the night and there was a ton of cars, and yeah, that was cool. It was the first decent roadkill I've seen this whole trip. My oatmeal's cold. Oh, that sucks. Made a few short videos of some things. Yeah, driving through the mountain part of BC is really nice. I think the mountains here, for the most part, in BC are bigger than Alberta. At least they look that way the way I came in on that highway. My plan for today is I'm actually not overly far from Lethbridge, so I'm going to take my time. I'm going to try and find Tim Hortons. I have a craving for cinnamon bun, as weird as that sounds. Maybe 5 cinnamon buns. I just want a cinnamon bun. So I'll probably try and find Tim Hortons. Because I drove so much last night, I get the impression I passed a lot of beautiful things, like little towns and stuff like that. I would have loved to stop and take pictures in. I was just kind of like determined to find a campsite. I did find a place last night, and I just had an uncomfortable feeling about it, although it was like a decent location. Something about it just wasn't sitting right with me, so I continued to drive for probably another hour and a half just to find this place, which is great. There's this water pump right there. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, I don't know. It's like one of those old school like well pump type things. I remember when Eric and I went to the Arctic, we used to use those to shower with. Oh, it's friggin' cold. Like you'd pump it and all the groundwater would come out, and one of us would pump it and the other guy would like shower underneath, and as much as you could anyways. And so I was really hoping that was working, and it's not. I was hoping to fill up my water jug, as well as to partially shower under it, which would have been great. But there's no handle on it, so I tried doing it manually and nothing was coming up, so maybe it's turned off. I don't know how that thing works. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of elk in Jasper. I think they're elk or caribou. Man, I can't tell the difference. I'm gonna have to Google this stuff later, but they're big, pretty cool looking. Met some friendly people along the way, just talking to people. And, yeah, I'm not really sure what else. Oh yeah, I guess for my last video, I totally forgot to mention. This is why I got to make these things more frequently. When I went to Calgary, kind of backtracking a bit, I got to meet or see one of my friends. Who's actually from Australia, who I didn't get to see for many years. Actually, this is the first time I'd seen him, I think, since he was teaching me when I joined the church 9 years ago. And he saw my Facebook post, he saw my videos, and commented, said, "Hey, you're coming to Calgary, like, you should drop by and visit." Turns out in a few weeks or a couple weeks, he's going back to Australia. So I mean, the timing of this just worked out perfect. So I got to see him. I don't think I mentioned that in the last video, but I'm actually extremely grateful for that. That too was a wonderful blessing to see a friend I hadn't seen in so long. Like, what are the odds that I would just happen to be out here on my road trip? He just happened to be going back to Australia in a couple of weeks, and you know, all the stars in the universe just lined up and made it work out. And so I was happy I got to see him and his wife, and they took me over hamburger and some dessert, and that was great. Like, I really appreciate that. I'm so grateful for my friends. You know, I was talking to my friend Scott before I came out here. You know, because I'm on this trip alone, and I was saying how I'm excited because it's a growth opportunity to go on a road trip like this, to come out here by yourself, to just spend a month or so on the road. Who knows what you'll experience and encounter. And I was telling them I'm grateful for the spiritual growth that I'll have on this journey. I mean, probably much physical growth since I'm just driving all the time. It's not like as much exercise, but the growth and experience and things that I learn and people that I meet and how I adapt and overcome to situations or deal with things as they happen along the way, such as finding places to camp, freezing my butt off, trying to find water. The stove that I brought is crap, and so I bought this awesome stove. This thing is amazing. I love this little thing here. It just folds up, it comes off, you can literally fit this in your pocket. It's great. It was like $40. And then this little thing of fuel, which there's lots left, was like $6. Like, man, this stove is great. Boils water very quickly. And so I was telling him, you know, I'm excited for the things that I'll learn along the way. And along this way, on this trip, I've learned that something I've already knew that I'm very grateful for is my friends. Both new friends, old friends, friends I've talked to but have met for the first time in person on this trip. All those things, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for the kindness of people, the strangers I've met, people at the temple, people that would invite me over to stay with them, friends that would let me have a shower at their place and cook food, and all those things that I wasn't expecting on this trip, but that just happened. That there are really wonderful little blessings along the way. They're not little. Having a bed to sleep in or a couch to sleep on and a home-cooked meal is a luxury as far as I'm concerned. And I realize how grateful I am for those little things. Even for sleeping in the car last night, just to cuddle up in a blanket and stuff. I was grateful for that because I wasn't out here in a stupid tent. So, along the way on this trip, I stop and reflect fairly often, usually when I'm sitting staring up at a mountain or just some awesome valley. I reflect on the things in life that I'm thankful for, and for the people in my life who are my friends, and how they came into my life. Most of them were missionaries at one point that taught me, or that I worked with years ago, or along the way, and I just happened to be in the same area and to meet them again and to see them, and to realize how, not to get all churchy or nothing, but how the gospel brings people together, even on the other side of a country or from other countries in my friend's case, and how it feels like a family to be able to go to a temple and to just be a complete stranger and not know anyone, to walk out of there with a friend and knowing many people, or to just have that common interest, that common thing that bonds us together, which is the gospel. And I'm very grateful for that. The church feels like a family. I mean, that was something I really noticed in the beginning when I joined the church, is that it's like a family. And that's what really drew me to it, since real family isn't, it's kind of a tough subject for me. But yeah, just knowing that people care and that they have quality friends is great. So I'm gonna eat this cold oatmeal, try and warm it up a bit. This concludes my fourth, I think I'm at the fourth. I gotta start checking these, fourth video entry. Maybe I'll make another one later on if I come across something cool, or in the next day or so. But till then, see ya.